Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Currently Speaking, the podcast of the Current Consulting Group. I'm Bill Current, founder of the Current Consulting Group, and today's episode is titled The Value of Using Employment and Insurance Rapid Testing Device Classification. Today's podcast is sponsored by the folks at Wanfo USA, and I would encourage you to go visit their website. You'll find a lot of information about their various products and also some of their employment and insurance, commonly referred to as E&I devices. You'll find information about the E&I devices, and I'm going to talk about one of them in particular during today's podcast. But let's start with this. We're finding that rapid result drug testing is growing in popularity among employers right now. In Current Consulting Groups, or we refer to ourselves as CCG, in CCG's 2024 Employer Drug Testing Survey, co-sponsored by Wanfo USA, 45% of the respondents said they conduct rapid result urine tests, and 22% said they utilize rapid result oral fluid tests. Nearly 10% said they're considering adding rapid result oral fluid testing to their programs. Additionally, in CCG's 2024 Drug Testing Industry Survey, so the first one I've cited was the employer survey. Now I'm talking about our drug testing industry survey, which incidentally, in 2024, it was our 26th annual industry survey. In that survey this year, 68% of providers said they believe rapid result testing will increase over the next 3 years. So for many years, the gold standard for rapid drug testing devices was what's known as a 510K clearance from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, from the FDA. An FDA clearance is a pre-market submission to the FDA to show that a device is basically as safe and effective and substantially equivalent to any other legally marketed device intended to be used for the same purpose. More recently, the FDA announced a list of Class 2 devices that the agency has determined, based on established factors, no longer require pre-market notification within specific limitations. Traditionally, most Class 2 devices for drugs of abuse testing were classified under a moderate risk regulation and required the 510K clearance prior to marketing. However, the agency finalized what's known as an E&I, Employment and Insurance, E&I designation or labeling in 2019, which means that a device can be exempt from pre-market notification when its use will be limited specifically to the employment and or insurance markets. According to a 2022 presentation from the Office of In Vitro Diagnostics and Radiological Health at the FDA, an E&I device, quote, is exempt from the pre-market notification procedures in Subpart E of Part 807 of this chapter, subject to the limitations in Section 862.9, provided the test system is intended for employment and insurance testing and includes a statement in the labeling that the device is intended solely for use in employment and insurance testing and does not include devices intended for federal drug testing programs. We're talking about programs run by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, the Department of Transportation, DOT, or the U.S. military. So while an E&I device is not FDA cleared and does not meet the requirements to be used for certain federal testing regulations, right? DOT, SAMHSA, etc., it can be used for non-mandated federal employment and insurance testing purposes if not otherwise restricted by a state drug testing law, since it has been shown to be equivalent to certain cleared on-market devices. Quoting from the agency's website, FDA regulates a type of IVD, in vitro diagnostic, IVD, referred to as drugs of abuse tests that are sold to consumers or healthcare professionals in the United States. FDA reviews many of these tests before they are sold for use. In its review, the FDA evaluates the design and performance of tests and sample collection systems to help ensure that they produce accurate results. The FDA also reviews the test instructions and package inserts to help ensure that the end users can understand how to perform the tests easily and successfully. The website goes on to say, Quote, FDA does not review drugs of abuse tests intended for employment and insurance testing, provided they include a statement in their labeling that the device is intended solely for use in employment and insurance testing and does not include test systems intended for federal drug testing programs, as I mentioned. Therefore, an E&I device does not have to be FDA 510K cleared, but the intended use must be limited to employment and insurance testing, and it must be registered with the FDA and not exceed any limitations outlined in 21 CFR Section 862.9. Simple or complicated? Well, basically, what a potential user of an E&I device needs to understand is that its use is legal for workplace drug testing, as well as for insurance underwriting purposes. And employers can use a rapid result oral fluid device, for example, that has the E&I designation with some level of confidence, of course. Wanfo USA's T-Square one-step multi-drug oral fluid test is an example of an E&I device. It offers qualitative detection of specific drugs of abuse and their principal metabolites in human oral fluid at specified cutoff levels. Now, in the case of the Wanfo USA product, the specific drugs of abuse include amphetamines, barbiturates, cocaine, MDMA, methamphetamine, MET, methadone, opiates, oxycodone, phencyclidine, and marijuana. Now, when you're considering an E&I device, the product labeling must state its intended use and must not exceed the limitations outlined in 21 CFR Section 862.9, as I referenced earlier. For example, the labeling for the T-Square one-step multi-drug oral fluid test displays that it is for, quote, use in employment and insurance testing and for in vitro diagnostics use. So, why is it okay to use an E&I classified device? Well, there are lots of advantages. Let me go through a few of them. If you are using a device that has E&I labeling, you can know that it's a quality device that was designed specifically for general workplace or insurance service testing. It's a device that is equivalent to an FDA 510K cleared device in terms of quality and performance. It's a device capable of producing accurate results for specific drugs included in the E&I exemption. It's a device that is user-friendly and capable of competing well with other E&I devices intended for the same purpose. And it's a cost-effective device that fits virtually any corporate budget. In conclusion, let me say this. Drug testing can be complicated, especially when you're trying to choose from among the many rapid testing devices currently available from so many different sources. The ultimate objective is getting an accurate result using a device that can be trusted. Employers now have an additional option to help keep their workplaces safe, and that's using a test with an E&I designation or labeling. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Currently Speaking. If you'd like to listen to any past episodes, please go to our website, currentconsultinggroup.com. You'll find an archive of our past podcast episodes. You can find Currently Speaking on all the major podcast platforms. And for more information about Wanfo USA and their products, please go to their website as well, and you'll find just a lot of great information there. Thank you for joining us, and this concludes another episode of Currently Speaking.